Alrighty, yeah. Let's see if I remember how to do this. Been a while. Yo, what up? It's your boy, Joey Bradley. Living for a living, son.
Living for a living, baby. How you doing?
I do the pause. Insert the music right there. Living for a living, baby. How you doing? And I'll be honest, I think I'm back to living for a living. Whatever that means. I don't think I was doing it for a while. I think I was being a little bit phony. That's kind of to start off. I don't even know if I'm going to keep doing this, because we'll talk about why and how. This is going to be a real therapy session one for y'all. So, yeah. But I'm just going to get into it. And explain, I guess, why. I think there's now been 3, 4, 5 months in between the last episode, and there was 3, 4, 5 months in between the last episode before that. But yeah, been in Brazil for about 2 months now, and that's going well. We're going to get into that as well. But let's take it back. Yeah, I guess, I don't know. I want to explain myself, so I'm gonna. One of my original mission statements, I feel like, when I wanted to start this shit, was to be authentic as possible, keep it real, always be 100. And, I think I was doing that. But then when I got back home, and even the last few months in Finland, although Finland had a slightly other I don't know. Overall, I felt like if I was going to be super duper honest on here, it was not going to be a positive thing. And maybe it would have been a positive thing, because it would have been some real ass shit, man, when I was back home for those 4 or 5 months, damn near 5 months. Living at home with my folks, being at home for the first time in 3 years. I was having some dark thoughts, boy. Not on some kill myself type shit, but on some just dark thoughts about life and yeah. So it probably would have made some great fucking content, to be honest. But I didn't really want to put it out there like that, because it might have hurt someone's feelings. Or, I don't know. I was concerned about who might hear it. And yeah, so I just chose to be silent. Yeah, as I'm reflecting on it now, it probably would have been a good idea to at least get it out and then just not post it. Because I was going through it, boy, a little bit. That was definitely a what's a high point in ebbs and flows of life? Is flow a high point, or is ebb I think ebb is a low point. So it was a definite ebb. And so being back, coming to Brazil, has been a nice little reset for me. I feel like I can be 100% straight the fuck up, and getting back to that being of myself feels really, really good. When not only in life, but also in football, I get to keep it real here. And life, it's frustrating, fun, interesting, all of the above, because I got to speak Portuguese for the most part in my everyday life, and I don't speak it that well. And so it's not like I can afford to be anything but straightforward, because I'm just trying to say the right fucking words, So you can't really beat around the bush if you don't know how to with the words. You feel me? And then with football here, I'm QB, OC, running back, receiver, O-line coach, kickoff return coach, water boy. I'll be selling hot dogs in the fucking stands for games, assistant GM, ball boy, you name it, I fucking do it. And I enjoy that too. And, you know, if I date back and I reflect on the time in Finland, that last year or so, and even the football, especially the last year of football there, the last season there, ironically, the perfect season was like the least amount of fun I've ever had. Just because from the football side of things, like I couldn't be my true authentic self. Because my true authentic self, like my entire career, I've been QBOC in Europe. And even dating back to fucking my last year at New Haven, I was basically QBOC there, or QB coach at least, because I was the 24-year-old senior on a team with one other senior starter on offense. I literally had to tell one running back what to do every single play. And the other running back, I had to tell him what to do every other play in a no-huddle system. And so that's just always been my thing, and that's what I enjoy. And so in Finland, just being the quarterback, I didn't get to like scratch that itch. And it was frustrating at times because we didn't do shit, in my opinion, the right way. But it's hard to say, hey, we're not doing shit the right way when you're winning every game also. So I just kind of compressed that, you know, suppressed that, I guess you could say. And I feel like that might be, if I'm going to self-analyze myself, that's why then I went so hard on the podcast and on the TikTok and shit. Well, I mean, I know for a fact, like, that's social media-wise, that's why I went so hard, is I was like, bro, I have all this fucking time on my hands now that I would normally be spending on, like, watching film or coaching and game planning and that kind of stuff that I didn't have to do. I didn't have to spend that time anymore, which at first was like, oh, yeah, this is kind of nice. But then, like, I realized, oh, no, that's the part, like, I love the most. Like, I truly, at this point in my career, at 32 years old, going into my 9th or 10th season abroad, like, I get so much more fucking satisfaction out of coaching a guy up and coaching a young guy up and seeing him progress and seeing the light bulb go off in his head than I do throwing my own touchdown. I mean, don't get me wrong, throwing touchdowns is fucking cool. It really is. But to put it into perspective, I've thrown a lot more fucking touchdowns than I've made a lot more light bulbs go off in somebody's head. And so that light bulb look and feeling is more new, you know? And it's more satisfying. You know, it's like jacking off now is still cool. Having sex now is still cool. But fuck, bro, it was way cooler 15 years ago when you'd only done it a few times. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, fuck, dude. Think about getting a blowjob when you were 17 compared to now at 33 or 32. I mean, don't get me wrong. Blowjobs are still great. Throwing touchdowns, still amazing. Still a great feeling. But not like it was when you were fucking 17, 16. Just trying not to come. Oh, my God. Don't come. Not yet. Ah! Damn, I didn't know I was going to use that analogy. I don't have that one written down in the script, I can tell you that. But, no, dude, it was tough, like going back to the Finland thing of not really doing things the quote-unquote what I believe is the right way, and not like, I don't mean right way as in my way. I mean right way as in the way I've learned it from coaches much more successful than me and much more smarter than me. But then, like I said, not like you can really bring it up and speak your truth when you're winning. And it wasn't my job. So I'm all about the Patriot way and doing your job. And it wasn't my job to speak up and take care of that. And kind of any time I did try and speak up or be a leader in a certain way out there, it got kind of shut down and talked over and that. And so that's cool. I'm just here so I don't get fined, baby. And that's what I did. And ultimately, that's not how I like playing football. And that's not the reason why I play football. I'm not just here to cash a check. And so, yeah, so like being here has been nice because, man, I get to speak my mind both off the field and on the field completely. And so that's just like, you know, when you're fully speaking your truth and letting shit really rip and not holding things back, which sometimes like creates a little conflict between you and somebody, but that's okay. Like creating a little conflict, if both sides are willing to then come together and resolve it, conflict plus resolution equals growth. And so, you know, in my 2 months here, given that formula, I have grown personally, and with some of my short relationships that I've had, like friendship or business relationships. I don't mean relationships with females. We'll get into that. I've grown exponentially more than I did my 5 months in the States and my last at least 10 months in Finland. Oh, probably longer. So that feels fucking good, man. And, you know, like I said, when I was back in the States, I think I did a few episodes, but it was just me forcing it. It was me just doing it to do it. And it's ironic at this point, like, when I was back home, I would watch podcasts just like constantly. I had podcasts on. I mean, also it was because my fucking dad had Fox News on or had something on upstairs at a volume absurdly loud so that there was just always noise pollution in the house and I couldn't fucking think straight. So here's some of the true thoughts that were coming out that I didn't necessarily want to say, but I should have, because as I said, conflict plus resolution equals growth. You know, I should have fucking said this stuff because, I mean, when I was home, I couldn't even think, let alone edit, let alone record, because fucking Fox News is on 16 hours a day at a volume so fucking loud that I could hear every single word of it from 50 feet away, two floors away. And then when he'd go to bed, my mom would turn on her shitty-ass fucking reality TV show, 90 Day Fiancé, whatever the fuck is on TLC nowadays. And she's half deaf, so it was at an even louder volume than when my dad was listening to it. So, I was high for fucking 90% of my waking hours when I was back home. Just to not think, basically. In combination with some other just like seeing your parents get older and like get old is hard, bro. Like super duper hard. And I'm not trying to like woe is me type shit. You know, I'm super grateful that I've gotten to spend as much time as I have with them. My dad's 80, my mom's 70. My dad's doing pretty good now. He was kind of struggling for most of the time. Not struggling, but there was like the first few months I was home, for those that don't know, he kind of had, they don't even really know. I don't really, like, not Alzheimer's, but not dementia, but just like not fully clicking. Like not every axon and synapse up there is fully clicking, which it fucking just happens when you get older too. But it definitely like was an abrupt change, relatively drastically or relatively quickly. And this isn't, I'm not trying to be conspiratorial, although all the fucking conspiracies have came true now at this point. But some of the doctors that he's seen have said that, and the people that he was working with at the time said it happened pretty quickly right after getting a booster. And so I'm not blaming that shit, because ultimately I do think that the vaccines and boosters probably were better for older people, although I guess studies are going to be coming out shortly on that. So I'm not even trying to blame that. It's just life. It's just what it fucking is, you know? And regardless, it's difficult to see. It's difficult to see. It was funny because, you know, quite a few of my friends now are having kids or have kids or whatever. You know, I had been gone for 3 years. And so when I came back, my cousin and his wife, who are like, you know, probably two of my better friends, especially back home, probably two of my best friends back home, they had 2 kids in those 3 years that I was gone. And so like so fun to hang out with them and be around them. But it just like made me laugh sometimes because my 3-year-old nephew or second cousin or whatever the hell he is, we'll call him my nephew for the sake of conversation. My 3-year-old nephew and my dad and my 80-year-old dad shared so many similarities, bro. It wasn't even funny. Like, both just want screen time. Can't really tell either one what to do. Kind of got to trick them into doing it. Like my dad at one point, he would walk in the driveway. He was like, my eyes are getting watery from the wind while I'm walking. So my mom got him some like some of those protective glasses you put over your glasses. Bro, this motherfucker was wearing them around the house, inside the house, because he just thought they were cool. I was like, dude, what? All right. Do you, like, if that's not the most 3-year-old thing ever, they're both, like, just sneaking snacks whenever they can. No appetite for dinner. They don't get their way. They pout a little bit. I mean, the similarities are wild, you know. I don't have any kids of my own, but I also kind of have the oldest parents of all of my friends. And so I've like compartmentalized this shit in my head that like, yeah, I'm not having the kid yet right now, and so I don't know what it's like to like lose sleep over having a baby. Shout out my boy Dixon, has the baby now. I don't know what that's like. But motherfucker, you don't know what it's like to have an 80-year-old dad that you gotta trick into doing shit. So we're both at different avenues of life. You feel me? So, you know, I think now at this point I've been able to like kind of make some jokes about that shit. Whereas when I was back home, no, jokes weren't too relative or relevant on my brain. And so that same little venting session that I just came out with right there would have came out a little bit more harsh. You know what I mean? And so no, being here has just been, it's been nice. It's been nice. I like my apartment. I like my routine. Although I will admit, Well, no, I got a few more things I guess I want to talk about back home before I get into Brazil. And so, you know, the theme of why did the podcast stop or take a halt or a hiatus or whatever you want to call it was simply like for the fact that I didn't feel like I could be authentic. And like I felt like I was lying, both from like what I was saying, but then also this like mantra or brand or whatever motto of like living for a living. You know, when I'm out living in some foreign country or traveling or whatever, like I kind of feel like I'm living for a living. But when you're living in the basement of your mom's house, helping do that without a job, which I was a lazy piece of shit. I should have definitely got a job, especially with how much or how cheap it is in Brazil. If I'd have brought $5,000 here, man, I'd have a fucking VW bus. But the point is when you're doing that, you don't really feel like you're living for a living. And so I just like felt phony doing it. And like on the flip side, like ironically, it was like I was even kind of lying too, because there's a horrible yet great story now at this point. And ironically, as I mentioned slightly before, like I am for sure 100% the most single I've ever been in my life right now. And the funny part about that is I said that on my last episode, which was literally right before Halloween, I think. So October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. So yeah, we're going on 6-7 months. Shit. Yeah. Yeah, we're going on 7 months since last episode then. The reason I know that now is because at that time, like when I said it 7 months ago, I was single, quote unquote, but I was seeing someone, and I was only seeing one person at the time. And so I don't even know why. I mean, I guess I do know why I said it. I didn't think of that person as like a serious possibility, possible candidate for dating, which it turned out to be very true, and I was very correct in that sentiment, evidenced by the story coming up. But even that, like, you know, I was saying shit that wasn't even true, you know. So overall, I was just this phony thing, and even having to be home and stuff with I can't even think of examples now of whether dealing certain stuff with my mom or my dad or whatever, like having to kind of hold my tongue, having to kind of lie. I can't think of, well, oh, like, no, what? I don't even know. And so that was a big reason or the reason. Editing also kind of sucks, to be honest. Although, as I said, now I'm just complaining. But anyway, the story, which, again, it's a bad story, but an amazing story at the same point, is I had been seeing someone for almost a couple months at that point. At least a month solid. More than that, though. I literally saw the person, I saw the girl after I recorded that last episode. We went out for Halloween. And so, little to my knowledge, she listened to the podcast. And she heard me say, I'm the most single I've ever been in my entire life. And I don't know, guys, I don't know if you know this. When you're hanging out and seeing a girl a few times a week, they don't really like to hear that. I knew that, but I guess I also learned it. And so I'm not naked, by the way. I do have shorts on, but it's like fucking 85 degrees in this house always, or in this country, or in the city always. So I will not be wearing a shirt when I record any of these. And so anyway, as I was saying, girls don't like to hear that type of stuff. Who would have thought? And so, after that, she kind of got a little distant. And I just kind of chalked it up to like, well, we're not hanging out this week, or we'd normally go out and hang out on like Tuesdays and Fridays or something. And one Tuesday I was busy, and next Friday she was busy. And so then it got a few weeks of no hanging out. And I could start to sense something was up. And so I'm almost trying to be cute to save the situationship, let's call it that. Because also, if you don't know, when you're living at home in your mom's basement, it's not super easy to get chicks to come over and fuck you there. Or at least cool chicks. So, trying to save the situationship. I'm making it sound bad. She was cool. I enjoyed my time with her. I'm not trying to be a dick. Even though I may be one. And so anyway, how's the story go now? And I'm getting the typical excuses. Oh, I'm just not feeling very good. Fellas, if your situationship, if your girlfriend or whatever ever starts telling you that she can't hang out because she's feeling depressed, she is about to cheat on you. Okay? And I can't even say that I got cheated on, because to my own words, I was the most single I've ever been in my life. So you feel what I'm saying? So anyway, I go out. I'm out at good old Malarkey's. If you know Issaquah, you know Malarkey's. And was with some buddies from high school, this and that. And next thing I know, they start talking to one of other buddies, who I wasn't a huge fan of to start with. Definitely not a fan of at this point anymore. And they're, oh yeah, I think he's coming through. All right, word, cool. I'm a little tuned up at this point. And so dude shows up and say what's up to him. And then I turn back around to the bar, grab my beer or whatever. And by this time, like, now I turn around and the girl is there. And I was like, oh. I'm like a little drunk at this point, and I had honestly been thinking earlier in the night, like, oh, I should text her and invite her out. Like, this is a night normally she would be here. It'd be fun, blah, blah, blah. And so initially I thought, oh, like, she showed up. Nice. And so as I, like, walked up to her, or I don't even remember exactly as I'm walking up, but all of these thoughts that's taking me 3 minutes to explain went on in my head in a matter of like 0.5 seconds. And so I went from like, oh, excited to see her, happy, to like confused, like, wait a minute, I didn't text her. How the fuck is she here? To, oh, that dude just showed up also. And it was just like from excited to confused to like hurt and mad. Actually, I'd say just hurt to start. I wouldn't say I was mad until I walked outside. And so I was getting ready to leave anyway. Now I'm for sure ready to leave. So pay my tab, walk outside. And this dumb ass girl wanted to avoid the conflict, avoid the situation, which I don't blame her. She's fucking retarded for even showing up to that place with that dude on the night that was supposed to be like my dad's 80th birthday there. That kind of got canceled, but we still were there. And her dumbass is literally, to avoid talking to me, which is a smart thing to do, but her dumbass is standing next to my car while she's on the phone. Who knows? And so I couldn't really help myself, and I think, I mean, I was a little drunk and probably slightly reading out at this point, and so I don't even really remember what I said. I'm sure my voice got raised a little bit. I want to say I said, like, that's not fucking cool, or that's fucking cool, or that's not fucking cool, or something. And then she ignored me, and that's what pissed me off. I was like, you hear me? And, yeah, so like I said, it was kind of ironic. And so then after, we talked it over a little while later, and I learned, like, oh, the reason I pulled back was because you said that on the podcast and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh, well, that does make sense. You have a point. And so did I. Because I wasn't going to seriously date you because you do shit like that. So I couldn't even though my feelings and ego were definitely a little bruised, I couldn't be mad at it, That's like the thing I'm just starting to learn more and more now is, like, trust people to be who they are, but trust that you can see who they are. And I totally stole that quote from, like, some rapper on some fucking gangster podcast. Oh, DMX says it. Trust everybody to be themselves, but then trust that you can see who they are. Says it kind of like that. Like, if you got a snake, a pet snake, or a wild snake that you nurse back to health, you don't be shocked when it bites your ass or it eats your pet rat. It's a snake. That's what snakes do. So don't be shocked when I'm being nice right here. I'm not going to say it. I'm going to say it. Don't be shocked when girls who talk about being a whore are then a whore. That's just how it goes. I don't even feel bad saying that, actually, because that's self-described by herself. So, damn, I didn't know I was going to say that one either. I knew I was going to tell that story. I didn't know I was going to get to that point of the story, though. But, so yeah, that's a short little story / example for the phoniness that I was feeling towards myself and why the pod got stopped, And then on kind of the flip side of, like, okay, well then you're in Brazil and things are going good and you're speaking your truth. Like, why haven't you started it then in the 2 months of being here? And honestly, I thought I would start it or restart it since arriving. I was like, yo, I'm going to fucking take over Brazil in the same way that I took over Finland. But then the more I kind of thought about it, I was like, I don't know if I actually want to do that. At least I don't want to do it in the same way I did in Finland. Because it's hard for probably everyone to believe this. But, like, I was, like, low-key famous in Finland from TikTok. Not from the podcast, but the podcast was a byproduct, or the TikTok was a byproduct of the podcast. I mean, motherfuckers would constantly come up to me. Oh, you're that guy. Oh, da 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 da. Occasionally take pictures. I took pictures with hot girls. That's how you know you made it. But 98% of the people that would come up and talk to me, and then like because of, you know, because I was telling the truth about some shit that like a lot of people were kind of scared to tell the truth on. You know, some people loved me for it, and then some people fucking hated me for it. But the reason was the same, was that it was shedding light on something that normally didn't get light shed on. And so whether it was someone who was a quote-unquote fan, or someone who hated me, not a hater, hated me, like the girl who punched me in the face and tried to do it a second time, both people energetically were kind of the same. You know, one just liked me and one didn't. But both were like this pent-up ball of energy, because love and hate are much more closer related to each other. You feel me? And so, like, the amount of dudes that would come up to me and talk to me and share some personal shit, because, like, to them, I was kind of their friend because they've, you know, seen so many videos of me and or listened to the full podcast, you know. And so then it's like we're sitting here, because I talk to this fucking camera like it's just a homie. And so you at home, I've been told multiple times, it's like the style that I want to do. But then if you're a motherfucker who doesn't know me in real life, or even you know me in real life, like, bro, you still don't really know me. Even though this feels intimate. And I'm super grateful and appreciative of the attention that you're giving it. But at the same time, then it's like, bro, we're not boys. In the same way that, like, I listen to Theo Vaughn and Joe Rogan or whoever, or Shane Gillis, and it's like, I like them, but, like, bro, they're not my boy just because I'm listening to them, you know? But, like, it's a natural human tendency, because I even sometimes I'm like, yo, me and Theo would get along so good, bro. Like, bro, I've had a dream where me and Theo were hanging out. So I understand the, like, flip side of the relationship. And I'm not saying at all like I'm as big as these guys, you know? But, like, the energy that it just attracted was fucking weird, whether it was positive or negative. And so I'm like, bro, do I want to... I enjoy my life right now. I enjoy my routine. Do I want to add that to it? And then also on the flip side, like, having to edit for a TikTok video every single day or edit a podcast all the time is a lot of work. It's like, do I want to do that? Like, I like going to the beach for sunset every day and riding my bike for 30 minutes, 35 minutes on the beach. I don't know if I want to be sitting in my apartment editing that. So I still don't know if that's what I want to do. And so we're going to kind of find out. Hopefully this one so far, I've been pretty rapid fire. So there's very minimal editing that I need to do. But, yeah, like, you know, to then now get into a little more current is, as I've said, like, I love my apartment. Like, ultimately, I'm enjoying myself here. I think in the 2 months that I've been here, I think I've gotten drunk, like, truly actually, like, kind of drunk, more than 4 or 5 beers or right around there, like, twice, or maybe only once. I know I did last Friday, but that was the kind of main homie here had, like, a little private samba event. and it was just kind of a fun little gig, and it was hot as fuck, so I was just drinking to stay hydrated, really. But I say that as kind of a measuring stick of like, and I've smoked some weed a little bit here and there, but I haven't bought any weed. Actually, I bought 1 gram first week I got here just to see what it was about, just to check out the culture here. The weed fucking sucks here, and it's expensive for like actual weed. And so, you know, I've, as someone who was like a borderline alcoholic while I was in Finland, my time in Finland, and who's been a career stoner for most of my life up until the last couple years, I've kind of had the realization, whatever you want to call it, that, you know, if you're looking to alter your consciousness 6 days a week or every day, like, you're not really enjoying what you're doing. I hate to say it. You know, I know maybe that goes against some people that listen that smoke weed every single day. But coming from a guy who did it and has done it a lot, I don't look back on, like, I'm thankful that I did it, because I think I don't know, actually. I've always at least told myself, like, yo, I needed to do it in order to get through the shit that I was going through, and that if I wouldn't, shit would have gone bad, you know. And that's kind of just me giving a coping mechanism or giving an excuse to it, because honestly, probably if I wouldn't, and then I'd really marinated on the problems and dealt with them, I think I probably would be in a better mental space, like I feel that I am in now, rather than what I was at that time. So, yeah, I guess, you know, I just don't view altering your state of consciousness continually, repetitively, every day, that I don't see that meaning that you're enjoying life. And maybe that's only for me. Maybe for you it's different. And I mean, that could even fucking include cigarettes in my mind. Because, bro, last year or two or whatever, like, bro, I was smoking cigs, boy. You get me back to the States, they got menthols that aren't illegal. First couple months, I mean, that little situationship I had at the time, too, was, like, totally too, like, fucking, not degenerate, but kind of degenerates finding each other and finding, like, a common ground and an excuse in another person to go be a degenerate. You know, it's like here in Brazil, there's tons of homelessness, although not as much as Seattle. And every now and then, though, you see some homeless on the streets, and it's like a couple together, you know, fucking cuddling on their little mattress on the side of the road. And it's like, they're for sure probably drug addicts. And it's like, if they too both got a job, like, rent here is like $200 a month. They could easily get their own spot if they wanted to actually be better with themselves. But the reason for that relationship is so that they can have some support in their degeneracy. And so I'm not saying that me and this chick were like two homeless people, but we were like two housed people confiding in each other's degeneracy. And so, you know, and how did I even get there? Fuck. Yeah, side note, the homeless here make the homeless in Seattle and the West Coast look like absolute fucking pussies, bro. Dudes here will literally sleep on the sidewalk. And you're like, oh, Joey, people in Seattle sleep on the side. No. People in Seattle have tents and clothes and pillows and bags of clothes and that kind of stuff. No, people here sleep on the sidewalk. No cardboard. I've seen countless people here using an empty 2-liter bottle as their pillow. And I'm talking on the sidewalk that everyone walks on. Sometimes people go perpendicular. Most of the time they're just parallel, kind of on the corner, on the outskirts of the sidewalk. Bro, sometimes these motherfuckers are perpendicular, taking up that whole block or taking up that whole section of sidewalk. You're either going to step over them or you got to walk into the street to avoid them. And I'm not talking about, in this area. I'm just, I don't know if the dude has to be on drugs for him to just like pass the fuck out right in that spot. And mind you, it's 90 degrees and hot as fuck, sunny, humid. Shirt off, zonked out. These fucking pussies in Seattle get paid by the government. At least these homeless here got to rob you in order to do it. Although it's homeless still, I don't know, dude. That's one funny thing about being here. There's so many similarities to the U.S. and Brazil. It's not even funny. And Brazilians hate to hear that. They hate to hear that. So, which is ironic to me because, like, bro, in some picture frames, Brazil looks like a third world country. So to be compared and say it's really similar to the U.S., which is like also in some picture frames, if you go look at Flint, Michigan, if you go look at Detroit, also looks like a third world country, don't get me wrong. But again, like I said, they're very similar. But you would think, like, if I told people in Nepal that, like, there are a lot of similarities with the U.S., they'd be hyped. So they'd be like, damn, it means we're, like, not doing that bad. Or, like, this place that seems so great in our imagination isn't as good. Brazilians hate to hear how similar the U.S. is to here. Hate it. And I love to tell them it. Oh, especially like the super liberal kind of Seattle-y Brazilian people. Oh, telling them that it's similar. You just see this look like, no, it's not. It could never be. And then I'll be like, well, no, actually, I mean, like, the U.S. is the biggest country in North America. You're the biggest country in South America. We're both kind of known as being dumb countries with dumb citizens. You have the most obese people in South America. We have the most obese people in North America. We both started as colonies by countries that are now like way smaller and way more inferior to us. We both majority of the countries only know and speak one language. The countries are really big and very, very much climate-wise and geographically. Politically, don't get me even fucking started. When I didn't know shit about the politics before I got here, but then when I went out one night with my neighbor, who is also a Freemason, which, what? We got those in America too. I didn't know that existed outside of I was like, bro, if you're part of the Illuminati, like, bro, first time I ever met this dude, he's a professional musician. And so I went to the bar with him that he was playing at. And then after he was like, yeah, we can go to this other bar, this little party. And like, we're driving around and he only speaks Portuguese. He's like 25, only speaks Portuguese, which I enjoy because now I got a force to level up. And he's explaining or asked me about religion or something, and he's explaining the being a Mason. And in my mind, I'm like, is this dude gonna fucking take me and drink my blood? Am I about to get sacrificed right now? He's like, yeah, I'll show you where I go, or like where the masonry is, or it's not the church, but it's basically his church. I was like, okay. I was seriously at one point like starting to think, okay, is the door unlocked? Okay, door's unlocked. Like, this is literally like my first week in Brazil. So I'm still like super sketched out about being outside at night because of the crime, which I don't think the crime's as bad as everyone says it is here. I'm sure it is in certain areas, just like it is in Detroit. And I'm sure if you look stupid and look like a target and are doing some dumb shit, then you got more here. But if you're smart about it, I think you're good. And so anyway, I'm in the car thinking to myself, like, yo, if I open the door and just fucking dip, which way am I going to go? Luckily, he ended up being hella cool. We went to this Forró concert, which is kind of like a live band. It's like exactly what you probably think of when you think of like Brazil, dancing, loud music, beer. Like, it was fun as fuck. That was super cool. What was I saying before that? He's free. Oh yeah, similarities and stuff. Oh, and so yeah, when at the end of the night, him and I were talking about politics, Brazilian politics. And dude, it is the exact same story as American politics. Bolso is Trump. Lula is Biden. Bolso's crazy. Says some wild shit. Never been a politician before. Has like a fame from the military. Lula is a corrupt career politician. I mean, the no one understood, no one thought that that Bolso could win because he was crazy. And if you like Bolso, then you're automatically racist and homophobic and all of these ists and icks. And if you like Lula, then you're a good person. But then, ironically, now on TikTok, when I'm not on TikTok too much, but the things popped up with like a guy, it's a for sure like right wing like Bolso guy interviewing people on the streets, and it's normally like obviously gay people or like women, and he asks them like, well, what do you think about Bolso? Like, oh, he's so great, blah blah blah, so great. And then he'll, well, can you name one thing, like what's something that he's done that you like? And like they can't name anything. So it's like, it's exactly like fucking Biden too. Like the liberal. And I know the way I describe liberals makes me come off as conservative. I think Trump's just fucking as dumb as Bolso probably. I don't know shit about Lula and Bolso. All I know is my one homie who claims to be pretty educated on this stuff, and he says he's neutral, a third-party voter, so I felt like I was getting kind of some good sides on both sides. He explained it. I was like, bro, this is exactly the same as the U.S. The elites, whoever's at top really pulling the strings, China, they are smart and also not creative at all. They're like, yo, let's just run the exact same program in two different countries that are the two biggest countries of the continents we want to start to take over. Those fucking retards won't even know. And it's working. Because, I don't know if you know this, but Brazil's now about to be the son of China. And so that's going to happen. They just did some deal, BRICS, Brazil, Russia, Iran, China, Saudi Arabia, they're all teaming up to get rid of the dollar. So if you want a World War III to happen, that's how it's going to happen. Because the U.S. is not going to lose their grip on the almighty dollar. That's why we have so much power as we do now, in case you're dumb and you don't know shit about shit. What else? Let me look at my couple of my notes I did. I was just going to go off the top, but I was like, Yeah, I mean, I guess I kind of jumped around here. Is staying on Brazil, it's like, bro, here it's weird as fuck. And on the flip side is like, be careful what you wish for, because you're going to get that shit. Like, for example, I had been really romanticizing like life before cell phones, like the 2000s, like that was the best rap and hip hop era ever. Like 02, 01 to like 07, 08, 09 even. I mean, ending probably with like None Higher mixtape by Lil Wayne. Like the 2000s was the best, bro. Because like we had cell phones, but they weren't controlling our lives, and you still like just hung out and talked to people and all this stuff. And so I was really like romanticizing that type of stuff, you know? Bro, Brazil is basically in the year 2000. Because when you go out in public, when you're out in the street, because of the crime here at least, and I think in a lot of the cities, like you shouldn't just be on your phone unless you know you're in a chill area. But if you're in an area you don't really know, being on your phone just like shows to the guy who would want to rob you that, hey, I have a phone. And I mean, lucky for me, I got this shitty ass Samsung, $100 Samsung with the cracked screen. Motherfucker's probably going to rob me and give it back to me if he does. But anyway, I'm not even concerned. I don't know. I'm not concerned about that shit, not because I'm some tough guy, but because I understand the way energy works and the way vibes work. And if you're scared of some shit, and if you, to tangent off into, to connect these tangents, if you're scared of something, or I started this by saying, be careful what you wish for. Because like, bro, whatever you really want, you're going to get. Like, whatever you put your energy towards, you're going to get. You know, I wanted, like, I was tired of like, not having much role on, like, the football team type shit. So I really wanted to be involved. Bro, I got that. Like I said in the beginning, I am every coach. I bring the balls. I bring the cones to practice. I'm fucking making equipment. I'm helping the GM with some decisions about shit. I'm doing everything. I wanted that. I can't be mad at it. I asked for that shit. I wanted to reminisce. I was like, yo, it'd be so nice to go back to fucking 2000, bro. And like not be addicted to the phone and this and da-da-da. Bro, I come here. Bro, you can't be on your phone in public. Oh, you wanna get directions to this spot? All right, you better memorize that shit. You better remember street names. Bro, I'm riding bikes now. Although I'm a street dog out here, so like that's the other thing that cracks me up sometimes is some of the Brazilian dudes on my team and people I meet. Oh, cuidado in the street. Be careful in the street. Don't do this. Don't do that. And it's like, yo, I appreciate it. I'm sure they watch the news a lot. And in the news, I bet it's always on about this guy got killed, this guy got robbed, this guy. Just the same exact way it is in Seattle. But then at one point I wanted to be to one of my guys like, bro, when's the last time you walked 20 minutes in the streets of Fortaleza? I walk 4 miles every day here. Like, I should be telling you, be careful when you're out in the street. But anyway, you want to walk somewhere? I'm going to bike somewhere? Okay, I got to look up. Okay, I go that way. I get onto Pinto Madeira. That's my main street out here. Or Santos Dumont. Kind of a French name. I get on that. Okay, I'm going to go down to the pharmacy, take a left there. Then it's 1, 2, 3, 4 streets. And then right. Okay, that's on João Carvalho. Okay, João. I remember João. Okay, and then a left on kind of the less than 90-degree angle left. You got to remember that shit. So I was thinking, damn, bro, I need a printer so I can get MapQuest in this bitch so I can print out some directions at times. So, like I said, be careful what you wish for. But then on the flip side, if you don't have anything in your mind for what you want, you're going to get what and you know what you don't want, you for sure are going to get what you don't want. Because the universe doesn't understand and doesn't register negatives. And so ultimately, you're going to get whatever you are putting your energy towards. And the funny example for that I know personally is, sorry, Mom. Ironically, let's rewind about a year when my dad was still pretty healthy. He was kind of talking about selling his store in Seattle, St. Louis, moving back to Seattle, moving back in with my mom. And they're like separated, but still married. It's a weird relationship dynamic. That's for sure fucked up how I view marriage and shit like that and love. But that's for another episode. And or I should say, it for sure is a thing that I'm gonna have to get over and figure out on my own. And so anyway, when I talked to my mom about it, she'd be like, yeah, no, that's cool. Like, he can move back to the house. Like, they're still, like, hella cool. Like, she was the accountant for his business. Like, they still communicate. Like, it's all good. Just, like, the husband-wife love type shit, like, isn't there anymore. And she was like, yeah, but, like, he better know, like, if he moves back in, like, I'm not just going back to being wifey. I'm not going back to cooking, dinner every night for him. Well, then he gets this little health issue happens. And, man, thank God for my mom. She went to St. Louis, got his ass, sold his car, set everything up. He wasn't in the right mind frame, right place of mind to fucking walk down the street, get out of bed, let alone fly back to Seattle. So she went there, got him, brought him back. Like, bro, he was so fucked up when he first got back. Like, he would be watching Mariner games, baseball games, and he didn't know what the scoreboard meant in the corner. I'd talk to him on the phone. Like, when I really knew shit was up, like, talking to him on the phone, like, bro, he was just a broken record. Like, once a conversation hit a certain spot, he just, bam, right back to the beginning, talking about what was kind of going on, kind of wrong with them. I was like, yo, something's up. And so I say all of this stuff, because then he got back, and guess what my mom's doing? She's cooking dinner for him every single night. Bless her heart. Because I haven't talked to her about this. Maybe she'll listen to this and we'll eventually talk about it. I'm going to venture that she didn't have in her mind what she did want. But she had for sure, I don't want to go and be wifey again. Universe said, huh? You want to be wifey? I don't hear don't. I don't hear not. Bam. So, as I said, if if whatever you're doing in life, again, I'm just talking to myself, bro. That's all I ever am doing. So, but I just make that clear, even when it sounds like I'm giving advice. I'm just giving advice to myself. If you got something on in your mind that like you want to do, man, figure that shit out. Or just in general, figure out what you want to do. What you want. Because if you don't know what you want and you know what you don't want, you're gonna get it. I promise you. I fucking promise you, bro. And ironically, I got examples all over the joint. My old squad in Kuopio. My guy Pekka. He for sure this year wanted to prove, actually, and I'm kind of speaking out of turn a little bit, but I know this is fucking true. He wanted to prove that he was the reason for the success of the Steelers, which I get it 100%. Same way that I kind of wanted to prove that I could run a team and do all the stuff, and the same reasons. Because a little backstory of the last 2 years when we won the championships in Finland, we had a hella good defense, we had a hella good run game, and then I'm kind of this veteran quarterback that did a lot of the fucking unofficial play calling and game planning. And so probably to him, a lot of the people outside of the team, outside in the country, in the football community said, "Oh, it's just their defense and their run game." And then deep down he knows, like, he's got this guy who's kind of, I called, if it was an important third down call, I probably called 85% of them while I was there. If it was a play that and they almost always worked. And so deep down he knew, like, or he felt that, like, they think it's a defense and running game, and then I'm not really doing this much. I want to prove that it's all on me. So they went with the young QB, which, like, I think it's great. This dude has a ton of potential. But the way it's shaken out right now, it looks like it's slightly fallen apart with some of the other pieces around. They went less defense, more offense. And so now it's going to be, you're going to get what you want. You wanted to do that. You're going to get it. And I'm a little butthurt, too, not from the football side of things. To be honest, I'm fucking butthurt on a few personal type of things of, like, people that like deep down I knew who they were and know how they are, but I kind of like tricked myself into believing another thing. And so, like, back to my quote, my DMX quote of, like, believe in people to be themselves, but trust that you can see who they are. Like, ultimately, I'm just kind of mad at myself for, like, not trusting myself to know who they are. And by then not trusting myself to know who they are, it ultimately kind of hurt my feelings when they treated me a type of way that I personally would hope I wouldn't treat someone else. I think that's as, like, hopefully mature as I can be about it. And hopefully also, like, objective and non-emotional at it, even though it's something personal, so it naturally is a little emotional. And that's kind of like, I'm not going to, I don't want to get into, like, that deep of, like, drama shit where I'm talking shit about somebody else, at least by name or anything like that. I know I told the story about the girl earlier, but that's me telling a story about me getting my fucking getting played, feeling like shit. So that's my fucking story to own, motherfucker. And ironically, me and that girl, like, I got no issue with her. We've talked, so man, shit's too short to like hold too many grudges. Even on some of the people that I feel, as I've said, have done some shit that I just personally, I hope that I would never treat someone that way or do something that way. I mean, it's just all about fucking just talking, communicating, keeping it real. Like I said, man, conflict plus resolution equals growth, motherfucker. Man. A little over an hour. I'm just going to keep rocking. I got a couple more bullet points. Yeah, we're just going to keep rocking. It's all over the joint. I don't care about the format or the bullet points, whatever. But yeah, I got a couple more things for Brazil. And as I've said, it's like a weird spot here because it's just like culturally speaking. I'll be honest, not a big fan of the culture here, not a huge fan of the people here, generally speaking. The reason for it, the culture is built on bullshitting. The amount of bullshit and lies, and like lies, not even lies, but just like excuses that are so obviously excuses, hurts my soul. And ironically, especially coming from Finland, which Finland, like, has zero bullshit. Yeah, it's actually kind of weird in a way. Because, like, guys here, like to compete. I don't know. I'm not going to go there. I haven't fully formed that thought yet. But I'll just say, going from Finland as the last place I've lived a majority of my life to here couldn't have been bigger change. Culturally, climate-wise, people, prices, everything. But here, man, the thing, it frustrates. I mean, it's just like the kind of, I gotta preface this. Like, I do really enjoy my time here, but these things are fucking frustrating to me, especially coming from a Nordic country that has these things like really figured out, I would say, and things that I really enjoyed about Finland is like here in Brazil, bro, there is no accountability, no self-accountability, which leads to just ultimate selfishness, which then leads to ultimate bullshitting. And again, maybe it's just I'm in the north. I haven't been other places in Brazil. But where I am right now, that's my experience. The amount of crazy excuses that I've heard for why I'm missing practice or why this or that, I can't count. I don't even know. But people here are just so used to it that they just buy into it. And so I did a test, and I messaged the group. I messaged my offensive line, which has the fucking kings, are the kings of bullshitting. And I messaged them around Mother's Day because everybody was given an excuse why they couldn't come to practice because they were going to be spending 12 hours in the day with their mom. And so I said, hey, guys, sorry, I'm not going to be able to make practice this Sunday. I'm flying back to the U.S. tomorrow for Mother's Day to give my mother a big kiss. I said, I'm probably actually going to miss all of the practice and possibly even the first game because this kiss is going to be really big. And I need my time for this kiss with my mom. Like, all of them except one believed it. Because they're just so used to like going along with bullshit. And so then just to play around, just to have fun, I said, next message, I said, "Oh, guys, more bad news. Even when I come back, if I can come back before the first game, I just accepted a job teaching English. And for this company, I'll be teaching 26 hours a day, 8 days a week. So I'm going to try my best." 'Cause that's what they love to say here. "I'm going to really try my best to make it, but I don't know if I can." And then one guy responded, "This is a lie." Like he cracked the case. Then I had to keep going. And so I said, "Oh, fuck, guys, more bad news. I just tripped going down the stairs, and I broke my ankle, and the doctor says he's going to have to amputate my leg. But don't worry. He said I can still play with the fake leg. You can count on me for next practice." That's the other thing they love to say. You can count on me after I just let you down fucking 2 weeks in a row. And then the final kicker, which was an idea of my fucking boy. I said, "Guys, bad news. I've been sick and I just died. I don't know if I'll make next practice or not, but I actually just talked to God and he says he might let me come back to life. So I'll be there. Don't worry." And that was just me using an example to just show how asinine most people here sound on a daily basis. Like, and it's funny too, because it's like, again, going back to similarities to the US. I say that and I'm talking shit 100% right now. But I'm not saying it in a way that like, oh, America's better. That's like what so many fucking dummies automatically think anytime an American says anything about a country. Which, and maybe they're right because most of the time they have. But like, bro, you better come with fucking receipts when you talk to me as somebody who's now lived in like 7 countries. But I'm not talking about it in relation to America. Actually, America's really similar in a lot of ways to the bullshit. America's kind of this polar thing, just like how Brazil is super polar. Quick side tangent, because Brazil is really, really religious on one end. You know, like Sunday church like is shutting down the block. On the flip side, I have never seen so many gay motherfuckers in my life. And bro, I'm from Seattle. I lived in the Bay for 2 years. Bro, it is so gay here, it makes San Francisco look Republican. Like, I have never seen, first, the amount of, I mean, it could be because of weather also, but the amount of dudes that wear crop tops, that's a new one. I went to this like kind of hip, I've gone to a couple like hip parties, and one was like cool, like this block party type of thing, but like the crowd that was there was just literally like transplanted the exact same people from Seattle. Like a mullet haircut, short haircut, dyed hair, ironic tattoos, like cool outfits, but the outfits that are like, yo, I'm trying so hard to appear that I'm not trying, that it's so obvious that I'm actually trying, you know? And like the funniest thing of that at that party was like, I'm sure all those people like consider themselves like liberal and tolerant and very welcoming and this and that and blah, blah, blah. And bro, as the super duper white, blonde, only gringo in the place that can even speak the language somewhat, bro, no one will look me in the eyes there. Nobody will talk to me unless they have an intro with my friend who's Brazilian. Like, I've gained a ton of appreciation for immigrants that come to the U.S. Like, I already had a little bit of it, like being given the fact that I'd lived in Europe and shit like that and always been the immigrant. But it's different here because I can actually, like, somewhat speak the language and communicate, albeit I have a funny accent. And so I've never felt so much more appreciation, though, or empathy or whatever for immigrants in the U.S. who then, normally it's probably an Asian dude or maybe a Mexican guy that has a funny accent that, like, maybe people make fun of or don't fully understand, or, they need to ask what a second time to make sure they understand, and then getting people just looking at you like, what the fuck, dude? Like, at this little event, this fucking hip at, like, I've also realized now at 32, like, I'm no longer cool, like, quote unquote cool to, like, the youth. And by youth, I mean, like, under 25. And so, like, I'm at this, the whole time I was there speaking Portuguese, and, like, I can't talk about everything, but I can hang. And, like, literally talking, and since I learned in Portugal, my accent's kind of funny. And also then having to change my accent because motherfuckers here can't understand if I speak with a Portuguese accent, because to be fair, it's like almost two different languages, like with the pronunciation and with the grammar and the order of how some words and some phrases are. So I'm literally like speaking my second language in my second accent. So I sound funny, bro. Like, imagine a Brazilian dude who learned, and then also I'm in a region of Brazil that I would compare as like the fucking like Mississippi or Louisiana of the U.S. of Brazil, where their accent here is so wild it doesn't even sound like Portuguese. And some Brazilian people will even be like, dude, I don't even understand what the fuck they're saying sometimes. So that's like pretty Mississippi, Louisiana-y. So imagine a Brazilian guy or whatever ethnicity guy going to England and learning English in England, and then going and living in Mississippi and trying to talk like the people in Mississippi talk. That's what I'm fucking doing. So I sound fucking wild, I'm sure. And so I forget what I even... Oh, yeah. Like, when I say... Like, in Portugal, they say sim, sim, sim. Yes, yes, yes. A lot more. They use just the word sim a lot more in Portugal. Whereas here, like, instead of saying yes, they would use the verb of, like, did you see that? Like, I'm translating in English. Like, did you see that? I saw. Is how they would... Rather than yes. They would just respond with, like, I see. Rather than yes. And so anyway, I say yes, yes, yes a lot. And I'm sure my little accent was funny. Well, I'm having a conversation with these two people. And I say, sing, sing, sing. Yes, yes, yes. They turn and make fun of me in front of me. But, like, I'm all for making fun of me. I do it pretty consistently here. I enjoy it. I'm pretty realistic about it. I have no problem. Make fun of me. But include me in the fucking joke. They both... He said, pronunciation. Like, bro, I'm right here, bro. And so, I mean, like, it's funny now at this point. It kind of pissed me off that night, not going to lie. And so... Let me take a sip of cocoa water. That's a great thing about here. This carton, 1 liter of coconut water is like $1.50. Can't beat that. All the things I love, avocado, mango, coconut water, are all so cheap here. They're like free. It's beautiful. But anyway, back to my appreciation for immigrants or whatever in the U.S. or in whatever country they're in that are learning the language and trying and have a funny accent. I can relate very much so with them. And like at this point in my life too, it's on that same tangent. Bro, it's tough for me to relate to anybody. Not to make myself sound big or cool or whatever. Like, it's hard to relate as a 32-year-old guy that's now lived in like 7 different countries, and in the U.S. lived all over. And then also as someone that's like doing what he loves and isn't caught up in the rat race and doesn't have kids and doesn't have a wife. Like, bro, all those little check boxes right there that I just listed real quick, those 4 or 5, like really separate me from a lot of the masses, especially if we go by 33-year-olds that don't have kids, that don't have a wife, that have lived in all these countries, that are an immigrant speaking their second language in their second accent, that are doing the thing they love. Like, it's not super, and that's kind of cool to me in one way. But it's also like, I wouldn't say I'm lonely, but I'm definitely, I feel alone at times because of that. Yeah, it's actually, it's ironic here that like Brazilians are kind of known for being warm and welcoming and this and that. And I think, you know, to a certain degree they are, like at a very surface level they are. But as now a guy who, like, you know, where I'm living and where I stay and stuff, like, it's not like I'm living in a touristy area. And this city doesn't have a ton of tourists, at least a ton of gringo tourists at this time of year. And so, like, I'm also getting to experience what feels like some prejudice for being white as fuck. Which, like, I enjoy that experience, even though I may not enjoy it in action. And I'm, again, not trying to, like, woe is me. Like, I don't want to trade places with it fucking anybody. Okay, I get that straight. But it's just interesting to like when you know, and it kind of shows some of my own privilege or some of my own entitlement of, like, you know, motherfuckers won't look me in the eyes. Even then when I talk here, like, people don't respond. I think they don't think that I'm speaking Portuguese, so they don't even listen. And, like, you know, I get it too, because not a lot of, like, white, like, gringos come here, live the life like a Brazilian, meaning the salary of a Brazilian. Most that are here are either on vacation or probably work at home, you know, and get paid out of country money, so they're balling, that also don't speak the language. So I get why, like, some of these prejudices, probably too strong of a word, but some of these judgments happen. Like, I get it and I understand it. But I'll, like, it's also my experience. And so, ironically, like, the people that kind of give me the most chance and, like, I feel judge me the least are either men that are over 50 or kids that are like, under 14, or are homeless people or like cripples. Because, like on the kind of main boardwalk drag, there'll be like people that have like fucked up legs, that are in wheelchairs that are sitting there begging for money. And like when I pass those people or are like mentally handicapped people, like my point is it's all like kind of outcasts of the society one way or another. Because my examples of this is on the boardwalk, the kind of crippled people. I'm riding my bike by them. Like, and this one guy specifically sticks in my mind because it's happened a few times. And I ride by him, and he gives me kind of a little head nod and like a wave. And it's not in a way of like, hey, I want money type of thing. Like it. I can feel his energy. His energy is just like, hey, what up, bro? Kind of thing. And then like on the flip side too, at the beach the other night, mentally kind of, I don't know if he was Down syndrome, I don't know what, came up to me and he could hear me speaking English, and he obviously had learned some English, and so hey, how are you? Blah, blah, blah. What's your name? Oh, nice to meet you. And like you could tell his parents were fucking hyped for him. Because again, like I said, one of the similarities of the U.S. and Brazil is a lot of motherfuckers here only speak Portuguese. Like I have friends that are younger than, like in most of European countries, everyone under 30 speaks some English or understands a little bit. I got friends here that are 25 years old, 20 years old that don't know seven words of English. And so, like, it was just a trip to me, bro, that like, oh, damn, like the dude begging for money, the dude looking in the trash, or the bus boy of the restaurant that I go to, or the old farmer guy at the little flea market I go to, like they all look me in the eye, shake my hand. I feel zero judgment from them, but then majority of the just population, I'm feeling max judgment from, of people that don't know me. You feel me? But then it just gets me caught up in like, again, back to some similarity type shit, is like out here is like, I think really kind of caught up on like appearances and superficiality and just like the U.S. is, and the checklist lifestyle, and getting, they do it in a little bit different way because motherfuckers here will live with their mom until they're like 30 and not get a job till they're 30. But it's still like, okay, once we get married, then we move out and get our own spot. Like it's still on the same checklist. It's just a slightly different order of the checks. And so, no, it's been trippy. It's been very interesting, man. And for that, I'm super grateful. And like, kids love me. I got this one little homie who comes to practice every Sunday, throws the ball around, and like after practice the other day, he's like, hey, come meet my grandma. And we're like, where we practice is one of the like worst, it's for sure the worst field I've ever played on in Europe or in my fucking life. And it's kind of in the hood. I don't know if it feels like the hood to me. Although everyone where I live thinks like, is this safe? And he's like, yeah, come meet my grandma. So I go walk up to the grandma. I'm assuming like brother, sister, mom, I don't know. And me speaking shitty ass Portuguese. Oh, your son or your grandson's like really good. He has some potential, blah, blah, blah. Oh, cool. But like, and they were all hella cool. But it just makes me laugh that like it's like, because it's the thing is like once you have an in, once you have someone that vouches for you, then you're good. And you're in. You know, like when I'm at the cool hip parties with my homie who's part of that crew, like motherfuckers fuck with me. But then he leaves and nobody fucks with me. And so it's like bro, it's like actually being in junior college. Like when I moved to JUCO and wanted to hang out with the black guys. Luckily, when I moved there, my boy Jamal moved with me. If you couldn't tell by his name, Jamal was a black guy. And he only lived there for like 2 weeks before he went to Washington State. But in those 2 weeks, I had met everybody with him, and that was my guy. And so he vouched for me. So I had I had the entrance. I had the connection into the culture. I could also spit bars, son, and that also helped. And I could roll hella good blunts. That also helps with the culture too. At least when you're 18 years old and in the Bay Area, those are crucial. Couldn't dance. That's my one thing I could never do. But it's very similar to that here, on a very different way, but it's also very similar. That's actually one thing I got to try to stop doing, I think, is kind of making connections all the time. But I think that's kind of natural human nature to identify patterns. Oh, all right. I got one last thing to get on it. To get on my theory. Whew. Man, it's been a while. So whoever actually wanted this episode, you got damn near 2 hours of fucking tangents. But going back to the idea of like people bullshitting a lot here, I think there's a reason for it. Because as I analyze, because again, I'm trying to always find patterns and always trying to think why and how to get this way and what's the reason and, oh, it's similar here, but it's different like that. And why is it different like that? And da-da-da-da. As you can see, I have a lot of time. I do a lot of thinking, maybe sometimes too much. And so I've come to this kind of conclusion that countries who haven't experienced war or haven't been invaded the longer you haven't been invaded, the more bullshit involved in your culture there is. And so what do I mean? You take here. I don't know the exact history, but there hasn't been a war or an invasion in Brazil in a long fucking time. I don't know how you do it. It's fucking hot as shit. There's the Amazons to one side. It'd be really hard to invade here. But because of that, because of lack of that, that's created a lot of bullshit in the culture. But then you compare it to a country like Poland, like Germany, like Finland. All these countries that within the last 100 years, or even shorter than that, there's been an invasion. There's been war. You take then countries like Spain, like Portugal, which to me, of Europe, are the bullshitters. What do they also have in common? They've ducked and been out. They've been neutral. They haven't been in the wars. They've been ducking, which I'm not knocking you for it. I think it's smart. I prefer the U.S. not to put our hand in everything that we're doing now or have been doing for a while, forever, damn near. What seems like forever. Because, like, when you're in war, There's no time for bullshit. If you bullshit in war, you die. And your friend dies. And then possibly your family dies. So you can't have bullshit. I guarantee you, Ukrainians, right now, there ain't no bullshit going on in Ukraine. I know for a fact, Serbia, when I was there, Serbians don't like bullshit. They don't like small talk. Shut the fuck up. Order your food. Don't ask me a question. Keep it moving. Serbia, that whole fucking area is constantly at war with each other throughout the last 30, 40 years. I don't know how this exactly relates sometimes with, Middle East. Haven't been there. Can't say it. I don't, my case study hasn't extended that far. But then you think about the U.S., and the U.S., just like Brazil, is very polar. Because while we haven't been invaded in the continental U.S. in a long time, we have been invaded in Pearl Harbor. We did have the 9/11 attack by our own fucking country, but which the airplane did not make those buildings fall down. Got to get a little conspiracy in there. Although that's, if you think that the airplane made those buildings fall down, boy. Bless your soul. And anyway, we haven't been invaded in the continental U.S. ever, really. I think, actually, I don't even know. We have been in Pearl Harbor, but on the flip side, we're out invading everybody and occupying everybody. So while we don't have the invasion at home, we're doing the invading everywhere. So we still are getting war. And so because of that little difference, because we're kind of the only country that's like that, maybe besides Russia now, and maybe China in the future. Because of that, we're polar, is we have a lot of people that are just completely full of shit, like Brazil. But then we also, on the flip side, have the other side that is completely not full of shit at all, that gives it to you straight. And so then to again go back to a weird connection, non-connection thing with Brazil. Again, you guys are getting 2 months worth of thoughts in 2 hours, basically. So you're welcome, or I'm sorry, I'm not sure. The weird thing with Brazil also is they haven't been at war in hella long, but then they're also a newly democratic country. The democracy started here in 89, so 33 years. And before that, they were military ruled. And normally, when you're military ruled, it means you're at war. And so there's this weird cultural, ancestral DNA thing going on where it's like bullshit, but then because of military rule, normally military rule or non-democracy makes you kind of tough. Think like Poland, like Czech Republic, like Serbia, like motherfuckers are tough. And so people here are tough, but also kind of full of shit. Whereas then flip that with Finland, where they've been in democracy for hella long. They're not as tough, but they're also not full of shit at all. And the U.S. is just this weird fucking mixing pot because we literally take everything and everybody from everywhere. Which is why the US is pretty fucking cool now that I like think about it and like analyze it from afar. But also why it's such kind of a fucked up place at times. Because that's like one of the only places that's that much of a mixture. I mean, it's the only place that's fucking built on being a mixture. Other places are becoming mixtures, but it's not like the idea from day one was to be a mixture and a melting pot like the U.S. was. Oh, then speaking of that, go back, similarities, Brazil, U.S., like I said, we both started as colonies for countries that are now small and inferior to us, that both America does not give a fuck about England in the same way that Brazil does not give a fuck about Portugal. And on the flip side, Portugal has like this chip on their shoulder about Brazil not giving a fuck about them. And I would guess England probably doesn't think too highly of Americans also. I rest my case. All right. Damn, it's 12:30. Damn. Well, we'll see if we keep doing this. I don't know if I'm going to... I don't know, dude. This was fun. Thanks for listening. And maybe I'll see you next time. What do I always say? Peace and much love. Holla.